Today, Katie is going to teach us all about hand lettering. Make sure you have a pen, a paper, and we're going to get started.
Alrighty, so I want to preface real quick that by saying I will not be using the pen and paper, although I hope that you are. Instead, I will be using my iPad as well as an app called Procreate. As I said, this is going to be a heck of a lot more fun if you do have a pen and paper. So if you need to go grab some real quick, that's totally fine. If you don't have any, that's also totally fine. It's still going to be really, really fun regardless. So the way that I'm going to be teaching you guys is the primary way that I letter. So I will be teaching you on my iPad, as I said, and it's the easiest way. Like, anybody can letter this way, I promise. So before we start, we're going to talk a little bit about some terms that are used for hand lettering. So if you didn't know, hand lettering is the art of drawing letters, words, and sentences completely by hand. It's not a style of writing or creating letters, but more the arrangement of how these letters appear in a collective system. An upstroke within a letter is the thin line that is created when dragging your tool up, leading into the thick line, while a downstroke is the thick line that tapers into the next stroke. A little tip, if you didn't know, downstrokes are usually faster than upstrokes, which helps keep the flow of lettering. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my screen real quick so we can talk about some anatomy that is used when lettering. So an ascender is the section of a lowercase letter that extends above the X height of a letter. So on this K right here, this is an ascender. An X height is the height of a lowercase letter from the baseline. All letters have an X height. Letters that have an X height is A, K, B. Again, all letters have an X height. Every single letter also has a base. So this little line right here is a baseline. It is the line that all letters sit on. And lastly, this is a descender. A descender is the section of a letter that extends below the baseline. Letters with descenders include like P, Q, Y, etc. So hopefully you have a pen and paper now, because if you do, this is the really fun part. So we're going to move on, and we're going to practice a little bit. We're going to write some letters. If you see, I have an A, a P, and a K. So I chose these letters because they have an ascender, a descender, a baseline, an X height, all the things that I just taught you in our fun little anatomy class. So write out some letters. It doesn't have to be an A or a P or a K. It can be whatever you want. So we're going to move on. Hopefully you wrote down some of your fun little letters. So we'll move on to identify up and down strokes. So if you can see, the red lines are downstrokes. This is where your lines are going to be the thickest. On the green lines, those are your upstrokes, and those are where your lines are going to be the thinnest. So you can see on this A, it's downstroke, which is the thinnest. Green, downstroke is the thickest, I'm sorry, and then green is the thinnest. On the stem of the A, it goes down and then back up. On this P, if you follow the way you write the letter, it goes down, which is downstroke, back up, upstroke, down with a thick stroke, which is, and then on the tail, it goes back up. On this K, we go down, which is a downstroke, and then on my case, I have two upstrokes. You might have some downstrokes. It just kind of depends on how you write your Ks. All right. So now that we've identified some up and down strokes, I'm going to move on to adding guidelines. So this is the part where you're going to learn how to letter, how to make your letters really pretty, and how to make them look thicker and more fuller so that you can make your little sentences and all your fun paragraphs. So we're going to add some guidelines, and we're going to add guidelines where there will be downstrokes. So add it on the body of the A, add it on the stem of the A, and if you remember on the P, it goes down, so that's where we're going to add some guidelines there. We're going to add on the body of the P, a downstroke there. Then on the K, as you remember, I only had one downstroke, so I'm going to go down. And then there we go. Those are guidelines. So with these guidelines, this is where you're going to fill them in. So here we go. Fill in the body of the A. Fill in the stem of the A. Line of the P. The body of the P. And the stem of the K. So now you officially know how to hand letter letters. So now we move on to full words. So we're going to pick a shorter word. You can pick a short word like cat, park, house. It doesn't have to be either of these words. It can just be a shorter 3 to 4 to 5 letter word. So because I'm a cowboy, I'm going to write the word pokes. So I'm going to go down, write my P, my O, here's my K, my E, and my S. So now that you've written your word, you just have to add the guidelines. Here's a downstroke. If you follow it, here's another downstroke. And you can add your downstrokes wherever will fit with the whenever you follow your lettering. So guideline on the P, on the O, and the K. As I said earlier, I have 2 upstrokes on my K, so I only have 1 downstroke there. Here's my E. And then here's the body of my S. So now I just fill it in. Have the P, have the O, the back of the K. Also, you don't have to letter like me. You can have your own defined style of lettering. It's whatever you so choose to do so. You can write it in cursive, you can write it not in cursive. So now that you have your word, you've officially learned how to letter. And as I said, it's wicked easy, so literally anybody can do it. I'm going to finish this little word out with go, because go pokes, am I right? Alrighty, so now that you've officially learned a letter, you can move on to super fun stuff like this, because let's go Cowboys. So, some applications that you can use for lettering includes, you could use them for your notes. You can make your to-do lists really pretty. You can make, if you write on whiteboards a lot, if you're a teacher, you can make your teaching style really pretty through this hand lettering. Any questions?
How do you make a shadow with the letters?
Okay, so you can make a shadow. If you're using a pen, you can make a shadow with a pencil. But on my iPad, I make shadows by taking this duplicate layer and then I move it behind it. And then from there, I just turn down the opacity and you have a shadow. So as I said, if you're writing with a pencil or a pen, you can just like hand letter behind what you've already lettered and then you have a shadow. It's pretty easy. What else we got?
What tools do you use for inked or painted lettering?
Ink or painted lettering? So with inking, you can use, as it says in the name, you can use ink and a brush. Whenever it comes to painted lettering, you can just use acrylics, you can use oils, you can use gouache. It's honestly whatever liquid and whatever tool you have to use, that's what you can use.
Can you talk us through another example?
Yeah, so another example that you can use, a big one that I use hand lettering for would be for my art. Within my business, I hand letter, you can literally hand letter anything that you can think of. You can hand letter mugs, you can hand letter notepads, you can hand letter boards, you can hand letter your to-do lists, and anything that you hand letter, you can actually sell if you want. So that is another example of how I hand letter. I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for tuning in.